The leader of one of the nation's largest groups of evangelical Christians, Tony Perkins, is condemning the recent violence in the nation's capital. One America's John Hines spoke with Perkins about the demonstrations. Take a look.
You are a leader in the evangelical community at the Family Research Council, and I'm wondering what you make of the events of the last couple days, sir.
Disturbing. There is obviously a lot of frustration in what's unfolded in the recent elections, but there's no way to preserve the rule of law through lawlessness. And you know, we've spoken out very clearly in the lawlessness that took place here in the city and in cities across America back in the summer. And you know, whoever was responsible for what took place at our nation's capital is not the way forward. And it is disturbing, it is troubling. As I work on the Commission on Religious Freedom internationally, you know, this is mindful of some of those things we see in third world countries. It's not how we do things. It's not how you preserve the republic. Yes, I get it that people are frustrated, but we work within the rule of law. And there's still the ability to do that in this country. And so, you know, we're communicating to the folks across the country, take heart. I know there's disappointment, there's frustration, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better in terms of the policies as we see this new administration coming in. But this is not the way we solve things in America.
How do you account for this sort of thing happening if people are suggesting that that the people they were encountering were in a positive mood, having a constructive demonstration of their feelings, and yet something like this where the crowd gets out of control? Well, what's the explanation for that?
This is the dynamics of human behavior. Now, I mean, very clear on the outset, not the tens of thousands of people who came to Washington, D.C. To exercise their First Amendment, they weren't all a part of this. It was just a small group. But you know, a former police officer, I've worked in situations where, you know, it takes a small group that can incite. Now, again, we don't know, all the facts are not out there. And a lot of people came here to the city, peacefully protested, raised their voice, exercised their First Amendment rights to assemble, and they went home. They were not a part of that. And not everybody at the Capitol was a part of violating the law or using violence. But the dynamics of human behavior are such that a few people can rile up a larger group, and you end up with an event like what took place.
We have a president who believes that he's seen election fraud, election irregularities, and yet we have state legislatures, governors across the country who don't seem to see that and are not reacting to address that. A lot of people who support you, you are a leader in the conservative community, see this. What's the response? What's the appropriate response for people who see this sort of disconnect?
That's a great question, and one that we're communicating to people, but because actually Congress does not solve that issue. Now, they have a part to play in this, but this is the state legislatures. And this was a very complex election in terms of what really drove this. And in part, there were questionable activities that gamed the system, if you will. There was, you know, Mark Zuckerberg put in $400 million to a nonprofit in which gave out grants to elections commissions, and that was used to, in some cases, to go out and knock on doors, hiring officials to deliver votes and pick those votes up. But it was done in a way that was a two-tiered system, so it only happened in Democratic precincts as opposed to across the board. That raises questions about, do we have an unfair system? Was the system gamed?
Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, it's good to talk to you, and once again, Happy New Year.
Thank you, John. I look forward to working with you throughout the year.